The hybrid war between automakers is becoming absolutely insane, and Jeep wants a piece of that. And today we're going to review the first ever Jeep Cherokee Hybrid. And we're going to find out if Honda and Toyota should be worried about this new system they're using. Let's roll! Okay, before we start talking about the new Cherokee, we're going to talk about its history because this thing has had a bit of an identity crisis, starting with the XJ back in 2001. Back in the days from 1984, the XJ was essentially what we have today as the Cherokee. That thing was an absolute legend. It was basically a cylinder block with wheels, but it literally set the standard template for the compact SUV world. And back in 2014, well, Jeep decided to bring back the Cherokee. Now this time with a different nameplate and different generation. But we have to admit, the Cherokee wasn't the best looking compact SUV out there. In fact, the front end looked like it was squinting at you across a dark night in a nightclub. But this is a lot different, and I have to say, it has become a little bit more mature, not funny looking. Starting with the front end, we have a more grown-up design with different headlights, bigger than before, but you still get that signature grille, the Jeep grille in this case that you have seen in other models. And then further at the bottom, we have more cladding and all this design making this thing look like it's ready to tackle any ground. And then moving further down, we've got this bumper that has all these different shapes and designs. Very unique shape, but a little bit overkill in my opinion. It's got fog lights at the front, which is great, and the headlights are with LED data running lights. It has this mustache looking side profile, but overall I like this more than the outgoing model. It looks a bit more something I would drive around because the outgoing model looked really weird. So I'm glad that they changed the shape to this boxy and a bit more grown-up design. And since we're talking about growing up, this thing has gotten a lot bigger, wider, longer wheelbase, longer body, a bit more boxy design as well. You can see it through the windows. You've got the doors as well, much larger than before. The one that we have for today's video is this beautiful hyper blue design or something, but it really pops. It is extra for this color. I think in Canada about $500. In the US, you're looking at about $450 or so. It's got the blacked out mirrors, which is quite nice. And it's got interesting door handles, which we have seen before, but different than the outgoing model. What you have to do is kind of slide your hand in and you press the button to open it, and there's a button underneath. I have to say, I am tired of car companies making door handles differently. Nobody complained. Why are we bothering with these button looking like? And in wintertime, they're not very convenient. Just the standard door handle will do it. Nobody ever complained. Just please, let's go back to the good old days with a proper handle you pull and call it a day. Why are we doing all these fancy things for nothing? Who are you trying to impress? The customers? Really? Once they get bored of this, it's just, we need to get away from this. This is my biggest complaint on the outside for this model, and every other car company. Just standard door handles will do it just fine. Moving on to the rear end. Also redesigned for this year. We've got this flush design for the taillights, the Jeep badge in the center. It's got a wiper, which is quite nice, and a button to open the tailgate, which you can open automatically. The package that we have for today's video is the Limited. In the US, it's essentially the same name at this point, but here's what you need to know. Even though this thing has grown quite a lot, in fact, it doesn't offer the most cargo space. It's very close to the RAV4, but if you had to compare it to, for example, the Honda CR-V, which has a massive trunk, this thing is slightly smaller, and two reasons. First, it's hybrid, and second, this one has a proper all-wheel drive system, which means it takes a lot more space. So that's where you're sacrificing. But the good news is that it has a button on this size, like every other Jeep out there. You press it, and you just walk away. I am 6'3", so that should give you an idea.
First thing you notice when you jump in, you're sitting much higher compared to the seat in front of you, which it's kind of like a theater mode, something that Nissan has used in their vehicles quite a lot. I can see myself like much higher than the driver in the front of me. I've got leg room. It's still tight inside for the size of it. It's kind of like one of those situations where it's big on the outside, but kind of small on the inside. But having said that, I'm actually pretty comfortable in here. It's got some tech, 2 USB-C ports, air vents. It has a beautiful panoramic roof for this package, which is quite nice. And that's about it. Oh, of course, an armrest with 2 cup holders. This interior that might be leather. I'm not quite sure. Couldn't tell, but it looks beautiful. It's got nice stitching all around. You can fold the seat 60-40. It's pretty good on the inside. It's got good amount of space. I'd feel comfortable in the back of this thing as a passenger for 2 to 3 hours driving. Now, let's jump into the front because that's where you got the most changes and, of course, the most tech. I am really not a fan of these door handles. Please change them because really nobody cares. First up, when you jump inside, you'll see some familiar design features like the screen, the steering wheel, the buttons, and so on. They really did a major upgrade on the inside. They try to dazzle you as much as possible, which makes sense, so that you can essentially live in a more comfortable environment inside your car. And that's the whole point. Plus, loaded with tech. First up, it's got a button over here. You press that, and it turns on. Because this is hybrid, it goes straight into the hybrid's motor. That means that you don't hear the engine unless you put your foot down. Even then, it doesn't. Sometimes it does, but that's when you push your engine, because the engine is essentially working as a generator at some time, and then it works when you need the actual power. Having said that, we've got a beautiful screen in the center. It's got a digital cluster, which is quite nice. It's got wireless charging pad located right here. You slide your phone, and it's got more tech that you'd find in a lot of vehicles. Like the CR-V is a lot behind compared to this. It needs desperately a new update, but this one offers amazing tech for the price. And let's go through some stuff. We'll start first with the infotainment. Main menu. You can see your vehicle over here. You have these pointers, like extra menus, or you can see your sensors and so on. Go back into this one. It's for your phone connectivity. Your vehicle shows you quite a lot. You have e-hybrid, which is your understanding of your vehicle's fuel efficiency, how it pushes the power, where it goes, how it charges the battery and the electric motors. Then when you put it into drive, and you'll be able to see where we have it. If you go into power flow, if you change your modes, it should, like into drive, there you go. So you can see exactly where the power is going and how it's recharging, which is quite nice. It's pretty easy. Go into dashboards. Of course, this is a Jeep, so it comes with off-road pages. You can get the overland, which is a bit more off-roady. Accessory gauges, pitch and roll, select the terrain. There you go. These are standard features that you have seen before. Your controls, rearview mirror camera. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a 360 camera, which is pretty sad. But so same thing with the Honda CR-V. It doesn't come even at highest package. There you go. Media. You can access all these settings here pretty easy. It's kind of like an Android tablet in this case. You can go into comfort. Now, the good news is this. You got the climate unit down here and then climate unit as an actual menu, so you can control everything. It doesn't have ventilated seats with this package. You only get heated seats and heated steering wheel for both passenger and driver sides. The screen is quite nice, easy to use. You have seen this before. It's very familiar on the new Jeep vehicles. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can connect your phone wirelessly. Hybrid electric app. Come on, here you go. This is your e-hybrid pages, essentially. Pretty nice. Underneath here, access, quick access, in fact, of your climate unit. And then down here, you have your lane assist, low gear, parking sensors, and so on. Some extra space. Moving on to the middle, we've got your gear lever. Everybody loves these bloody knobs. Then go into park mode. There's a start button. You've got your driving modes, sand and mud, snow, auto, and sport. And sport, it turns off traction. 2 cup holders. There's an armrest over here, and that's for your phone to slide in. And that's about it. Beautiful dashboard all the way around this way. And to the steering wheel. This is a new steering wheel. It's quite nice. It's got this hexagon shape, as you can see, rectangular. It's got these nice buttons. You can control the infotainment. You can control the cluster from here, different views. And you can see easy access. You can adjust your menu from here. You can select different modes. And this gives you quick layout change, and then that's for your driver assistant package in this case. We've got gap assist, cruise control, you can set the speed and so on. The steering wheel is actually quite nice. This is a good shape. It's pretty thick, right? It's got a nice one. Let's try the horn. So, pretty good horn, loud, does the job. At the top over here, we have your controls for your panoramic roof and sunroof. So it kind of does both on this one, which is quite nice. Let's pop the hood. There's actually a button instead of a latch. And let's talk about what we have in here, because this is a new engine, a 1.6 liter, 4-cylinder, turbocharged hybrid. Yes, this is one of the few ones out there that uses a turbocharged hybrid system. Most of them are naturally aspirated, but this one is actually turbocharged, which makes it great for passing power on the highway, but also for recharging. Now, we got to talk about this entire system because the drivetrain, the transmission, and this thing, it's all new. It's redesigned from scratch, including the electric motors. But before that, let me turn it off because this generator thing here is just on. The power is getting through the wheels through the electronically controlled continuous variable transmission. So it's ECVT. This is entirely new for the Cherokee, designed specifically for a smooth manage of power between the gas engine and the dual electric motors. Now, you're probably wondering, why did they go with the turbocharged engine? What it all has to do with how the power is delivered. So, for example, if you're driving normal city, you're using the electric motors, which are great, means better fuel efficiency. But then you get on the highway that you need the extra power. The electric motors give you that instant torque, which is great for overtaking. But then if you need more power to get up to speed, well, that's when the turbocharged engine wakes up. It's got a small turbo compared to other vehicles. That way it gives you that instant power when you need it after the electric motors are done delivering their portion of the power. Now, let's talk about fuel efficiency because that's very important. It is rated about 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers. It's about 38 miles to the gallon. That is impressive. This thing can get on a full tank of over 500 miles. That is impressive, or 800 kilometers. But the amazing news is that this has a massive fuel tank and almost 52 liters. That is insane if you think about it, hence why it gives you so much range. Now, it uses a 400 volts, 1.08 kilowatt an hour battery in order to provide that energy. But it's not a plug-in hybrid, which means that it recharges based on regeneration. So every time you're hitting the brakes, it helps charge the battery. That's the whole point. And even when you're in the highway and you let go off the gas, it essentially creates power and charge. It creates that energy that you essentially lose in a standard car, and that one gets delivered to charge your battery. The biggest issue with Jeep is their reliability track record. It's not one of the best. But right now, when it comes to hybrid system, even Honda is having major issues with their new CR-Vs. Engine oil leaks and head gaskets and fuel pumps and you name it. There's a bunch of issues that's happening right now with Honda, which is not a good thing for that company, especially because they're known for actual reliability. Now, how this engine is going to be, we'll have to stick around for a bit longer to find out. But the good news is that you've got the power, you've got the fuel efficiency, and you've got the towing capacity. Next question is, how does it actually drive with this system? Well, let's go for a drive. So let's talk about how this drives. I've driven the CR-V Hybrid. I've driven the Toyota Hybrid. Here's what I think about this system. It's quiet most of the time. It's kind of like off. But when you put your foot down, it wakes up and you can actually hear that turbocharger really spool. Now, it's different compared to a naturally aspirated engine because the naturally aspirated engine, when you put your foot down, it kind of like suffocates itself. It feels like it just needs more air to breathe. Hence why the spooling helps a lot more with this one because it's more direct. But the thing is that this is sort of new technology that you don't see very often in the automotive industry or the hybrids right now. And this insane war, it's done out of bloody hand. They're just making so many different claims now about range, about how much fuel efficient their vehicles are. Like, it's always about the MPG. It's essentially right now is the MPG war, because everybody is trying to achieve the best they can. And it's a little bit late for Jeep in that sense. This one, it's quite interesting to drive. It's enjoyable. The steering wheel, it's light. You don't feel very high off the ground. You don't hear the electric motors as much. I'm not saying that it's completely quiet, but they're not loud. When you put your foot down, it's responsive, but don't expect a Hellcat. It's a good daily. It's got good driving dynamics. Doesn't have much body roll. It's well capable for off-roading. I mean, we're talking level 1 off-roading. We're not talking Jeep Wrangler off-roading. But the DNA is there. They know how to build off-roaders. They know how to build machines. The biggest problem with this vehicle is their track records with reliability. And that's always going to be in the comment section. But are they reliable? The thing is, like, it's kind of like a new system, so we don't know yet. They're trying their best to make these as, well, reliable as possible. And when you have two different systems, you have two different brains. So they kind of increase the chances of something not being reliable. Having said that, price-wise, here's what you're paying for. For the one that we have for today's video, out of the dealership, you're looking at about $57,000 Canadian and about $48,000 US, which, it's not cheap. It's pricey, but it's a hybrid system. They cost money to make, they cost money to develop, and the fuel efficiency will eventually pay off down the road. System. Right now, it's showing full tank 755 kilometers. That is impressive. If I can achieve that the way I'm driving, that is very impressive. That just shows you that there's something to be said about this system. It's super fuel efficient. It's a great vehicle all around, right? Except the door handles and all 360 camera. Everything else, it's pretty decent. I enjoy driving it. It's been a joy to drive.